before the Spence and Crawford fight happened, who did you think was gonna prevail?
Crawford.
Were you surprised at the relative ease at which it occurred?
I thought he'd win decisively. I really did. I thought it was a high chance he'd knock him out.
Wow.
I didn't think he'd win that easy.
So,
but also now you have a pretty good idea. But everyone has their own biases. In each broadcast, don't let anyone bullshit you. Has its bias.
right.
Because you're naturally inclined to see things from the point of view of the fighters you cover the most, right? So we'd seen a lot of Crawford. And I had some pretty intense interviews with Crawford. It made me like him. It made me. But we had the ESPN crew had a pretty clear, full idea of what he could do, of how incredibly talented he was. Now I think you have an idea why people weren't lining up to fight him. It wasn't just being across the street or whatever the hell you want to say. Which is something, by the way, when you talk about the old days in boxing, you didn't have these across the street setups. In any event, you saw there how good Crawford really is.
Yeah.
I mean, what did you think going in?
I was leaning towards Crawford. So I talked with Zab Judah about this, and he said something to me that was interesting. I was like asking him, who do you think's going to win? He goes, weigh-in. Wait till the weigh-in. So I was like, huh. So after the weigh-in, I was leaning towards Crawford at first, and then when I saw them at the press conference, Spence looked relatively significantly bigger. And I heard he had platform shoes on and whatever. So then I said,
Mark, remember something. Spence debuted at 54.
Right.
154.
Right.
And I mean, I've been in the gym. I've watched Spence like beat up, I think, cruiserweights.
Right.
He's an incredibly physically imposing guy.
Exactly.
But he's been at 47 for a long time. He's a naturally much bigger guy. Crawford, especially when he was younger, you can see how spindly he was. What did he start at, 30 or 35?
I think it was 30. 35.
I mean, look, he won titles at 35
and 40.
35 and 40. But I don't remember if he started at 30 or not. But
right.
In any event.
Right. No. So when I hear that Spence walks around at 180, I hear all, I know Derek James. I heard all this stuff. But so initially I was leaning towards Crawford because of Crawford's boxing skill. And then when I saw the size difference, I was like, well, wait, size matters. But I always say this only if you know how to use it. Right. And Spence knows how to use it. But then after the weigh-in, when I looked at their frames, Crawford looked slightly more muscular to me, looked a little wider, looked a little bigger. And that's when I started leaning towards Crawford again. But the imperative word is the lean. I did not expect what happened.
I think that Bomac was right. Bomac said, I guess it was at the press conference, like Spence's best shot was when Terence first got to 47. And I think that there was an adjustment period. He started out by fighting Jeff Horn.
Right.
And whatever else you want to say about Jeff Horn, he's a big, strong guy, especially for 47. Right. And I think it took, there was a little bit of an adjustment period. But I always thought from the beginning, Terence had more stuff. He's gotten more powerful. He's gotten more comfortable in the weight, but he always had more stuff.
Right.
The idea that, that he can go from left to right that fluidly is extraordinary.
Sure. His bag has way more tricks in it, So after the fight was said and done, what was your takeaway from that?
The same as everyone else. Wow. I mean, I don't buy all of this stuff now about Spence was weight drained and he had an off night. And I read something today about Crawford, like throwing illegal shots. Like, come on, man, stop, cut the bullshit.
Oh yeah, somebody said. Oh,
So,
Charlo.
yeah, I mean, like, come on, really, cut it out.
Well, what do you think? So here's something that
He's that good.
he is amazing, but here's something that I did notice for sure, and I'm not saying this has anything to do with the outcome of the fight, but Spence did look a little glazed over. People were saying he was high. I don't think he was
You're
high.
a fighter, man. Yo, you're a fighter. You're fighting at 47. You signed the deal. You're 47. That's what it is.
So you think his look and he kind of was a little slower with speech? You think all that was just the weight training?
If I don't know if it's the weight drain or not, but I do know this, and you know it a lot better than I do. Okay, making weight, preparing, is part of the sport.
Yeah,
it might be. I mean, Andre Ward used to say this a lot. It remind us. It's the only sport where, every other sport you prepare by getting stronger and bigger and feeding your body and fueling it and all the rest, right? In boxing, you make yourself stronger, but you tear yourself down in the process.
Yeah.
And that's part of it, man. That's part of what it means to be a really tough guy. It's your discipline. It's your emotional and mental hold on yourself as you train. That's part of it, man. That's part of what being a tough guy means. So all of that stuff, I'm not buying any of it.
So with that said, do you feel like there would be a difference if they fight at 154 rematch?
It may be. It may be. I'd still think Crawford would be a decisive favorite. Yeah. I'd love to see, because I think the promotion would be so great. I'd love to see Charlo and Crawford. I'm not dying to see Charlo and Canelo. It's two weight divisions. I feel the same way about Charlo Canelo that I felt about Spence and
Pacquiao.
No, God, I'm blanking. Robert's brother, kid, Mikey
Garcia. Oh, okay.
Yeah, I mean, look, I understand you want to go make a score by moving up, but it's not, it's not an enticing sporting proposition.
No,
I would have much rather have seen Mikey fight at the time. Lomachenko was pound for pound number one, or Crawford, who is still at 40, or just moved up to 47. But I mean, look, he had a beef with Top Rank. Okay, that's business. But I would have loved to have seen at 35 or even 30, somewhere down there, Lomachenko and Mikey. And I think Mikey would have done great.
Yeah.
He has such an economical sense of movement, and he has power.
Right.
As far as Mikey and Crawford, they had history going back to the amateurs. And if I'm not mistaken, Crawford beat Mikey pretty decisively.
Okay. Okay. So that fight, the rematch. I mean, I personally, I'm not crazy about seeing the Crawford Spence rematch. But then that begs the question: who is left for Crawford to fight? Canelo and Charlo fight in like 2 or 3 months.
Right.
He said he's not fighting. Canelo's made it clear. Canelo, even if he wins, he's not going down to fight.
Right. No, I think that's too. Yeah, I understand that. I don't blame Canelo for that.
So who does Crawford really fight next? That anybody really, because Crawford made it clear, which I agree with him. He's looking for either big money or legacy or both fights.
And he should. And he's been made to wait in line for so damn long.
Right.
I think the first thing you have to look for is, what does Spence do? That's number one. So it's his option. I'm pretty sure it's his option to go to 54. And I think that, I would definitely like to see that at 54. Let people, there's so much talk about, 47, he was weight drained. Wait, how come he was never weight drained before? Now he's weight drained?
Right.
In any event, but I think that would be an interesting fight at 54. I'd much prefer to see Crawford and Charlo.